From Commitment 2014, the countdown continues to the November 4th elections, and the race for St. Tammany Parish District Attorney is, of course, a big one. The current DA, Walter Reed, is not seeking re-election due to a federal investigation of his office. Anchor Randy Russo talks to candidate Alan Black.
Mr. Black, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. You tout your 3 decades of experience as a lawyer, also being an ad hoc judge appointed by the Louisiana Supreme Court. So what would you bring to the District Attorney's office in St. Tammany Parish and Washington Parish if elected?
That's a good question. Thanks for having me. The 30 years of legal experience that I've done many areas of law that combined with my appointments by the Supreme Court to where I put on the robe, and I'm the only candidate that has done that, where I put on the robe, and I have found people guilty of misdemeanor offenses, drug charges, driving under the influence. I've had to have juvenile cases where I've taken children away from parents that are on heroin. I've had to make tough decisions wearing the robe, having the trust of the Supreme Court appoint me to do such, and I've done that over 20 years. And that's what I'll bring to the table as your next DA, making the tough decisions and continue to do so.
Now, when it comes to St. Tammany and Washington parishes, what do you find is the biggest crime problem plaguing those 2 parishes, and what would you do to fix that problem as a top prosecutor?
The crime problems is the violent crimes are 80% related to the drug problems that we have. Washington Parish has a major drug problem, and St. Tammany is not immune to it. But Washington Parish has unique problems in itself. I was born and raised in Washington Parish, so I'm accustomed and I'm familiar with those problems. The eastern side of St. Tammany has unique problems too, versus the western side of St. Tammany. So, but it's all drug related, serious drugs. There are drug dealers in our school systems, in the most sacred places, and that must be rooted out.
Now, when it comes to internally, inside the District Attorney's office, it's been under fire recently with Walter Reed being under investigation for some of his practices. What would you do to make sure that under your leadership, if elected, it would be run more efficiently and more in tune with some of the moral guidelines?
The moral issues is very important. That's a great word. Integrity, reform, bringing back morale, and moral issues. It's all interrelated, and what needs to be done is inter-office protocols put in place, internal protocols put in place. They've never had that. They've also never had a written policies and procedures. That's the first thing that I would do. Is right now you have somebody in the same position making $40,000 and someone else doing the exact same job making $90,000. There's no written policies and procedures that would bring the morale back in the staff of the DA's office. There's many, many great staff. The staff knows how to prosecute hardened criminals, and I would keep absolutely as many people as I can. And there's a lot of great people in the DA's office, but the morale must be brought back to make them highly efficient.
Mr. Alan Black, thank you so much for joining us here on WDSU.
Thanks for having me.